Why is it that some of the most serene and breathtaking places on Earth can also harbor the darkest of secrets? What draws people to the mysterious depths of a forest never to return? Is it the allure of the unknown, or something much more sinister? Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Paranormal Pursuits, where we journey into the world's most enigmatic locations, unearth their mysteries, and examine them through both paranormal and scientific lenses. I'm Shinjan, your guide to the realm of this unexplained, and I'm thrilled to have you join me for this debut adventure. Today, we venture into Japan's Aokigahara Forest, a place of stark contrast where serene natural beauty masks chilling tales of despair and mystery. Nestled at the foot of Mount Fuji, this forest is known as the Sea of Trees for its dense, sprawling canopy. It's a haven for hikers and nature lovers, but also a site steeped in tragic history and ghostly lore. But why does Aokigahara hold such a haunting allure? Could its whispers and ghostly figures be echoes of the past, or are they simply projections of our fears and imaginations? And what is it about this forest that has inspired countless tales in Japanese folklore and pop culture? Over the next 20 to 30 minutes, we'll explore the history, legends, and mysteries of Aokigahara Forest. We'll dive into the eerie accounts of paranormal encounters, analyze scientific theories that attempt to explain the forest's reputation, and reflect on what makes this place so uniquely compelling. But before we begin, a necessary note: this episode deals with sensitive themes including mental health and suicide. If these topics are difficult for you, please proceed with caution or skip this episode altogether. Resources for support are mentioned in the episode description. So, gather around and imagine as we embark on this journey into the depths of Aokigahara Forest, a place where beauty and darkness intertwine. At the northwestern base of Mount Fuji, Japan's tallest and most iconic mountain, lies a place of breathtaking beauty and eerie silence. Aokigahara Forest. Spanning approximately 35 square kilometers, this dense woodland is known as the Sea of Trees, a name that perfectly captures the way its foliage stretches endlessly like waves on an ocean. But beneath this serene exterior lies a landscape shaped by fire and shadow, a place where natural wonder and human tragedy have intertwined for centuries. Mount Fuji itself holds profound significance in Japanese culture, revered as a symbol of harmony and renewal. Artists and poets have drawn inspiration from its majestic slopes for generations, and its sacred status has been enshrined in Shinto and Buddhist traditions. Yet, at its foot lies Aokigahara, a stark contrast to the mountain's peaceful image. Now some say this juxtaposition only deepens the forest's mystique, as though it were a shadow cast by Mount Fuji's light. The forest was born from cataclysm. Nearly 1200 years ago, Mount Fuji erupted, its lava flows solidifying into rocky terrain that would eventually become the foundation of Aokigahara. Over the centuries, this volcanic soil nurtured a lush, vibrant ecosystem. Moss carpets the ground, Ancient trees twist skyward, and the thick canopy filters sunlight into a dim green haze. This environment, while beautiful, creates a sense of isolation that has fascinated and unsettled visitors for generations. Historically, Aokigahara has been a place of whispers and shadows. Legends from Japan's feudal era tell of ubasute, the practice of abandoning the elderly in remote locations during times of famine. Though historians debate the prevalence of this practice, the stories persist, casting a long shadow over the forest's reputation. In modern times, Aokigahara became associated with an even graver phenomenon. By the mid-20th century, it had gained notoriety as a destination for those seeking to end their lives. Its dense undergrowth, labyrinth-like paths, and uncanny silence made it a place of both concealment and finality. Efforts to prevent such tragedies are visible today. Signs at the forest entrance bear heartfelt messages like, "Your life is a precious gift from your parents." Patrols regularly comb the area, offering support or seeking closure for families. Adding to Aokigahara's mystique are its peculiar physical characteristics. The volcanic soil, rich in iron, disrupts compasses and GPS devices, leaving even seasoned hikers disoriented. Combined with the forest's lack of clear landmarks, this has led to tales of visitors becoming lost for days or even forever. Many believe the forest itself conspires to trap those who enter, though science paints a simpler picture. Despite its tragic history, Aokigahara remains a popular destination for hikers and explorers drawn to its natural beauty. Walking through its paths, one might see the vivid colors of seasonal foliage, hear the soft rustle of leaves, or feel the quiet weight of solitude. Yet, for many, the question lingers, is the forest silence simply nature's calm, or something far more foreboding? Aokigahara is a place of contrast, life and death, light and shadow, serenity and sorrow. It is these dualities that have made it one of Japan's most enigmatic locations and a source of fascination for those who dare to step into its depths. So let's delve into the details of these paranormal activities that are associated with this forest. Now, we already know that Aokigahara Forest is not just a place of natural beauty and solemn history. It's a realm steeped in the paranormal where reality and legend blur. For centuries, tales of restless spirits, eerie whispers, and inexplicable phenomena have surrounded the forest, earning it a reputation as one of Japan's most haunted places. Central to these tales are the eerie, spirits that Japanese folklore describes as souls bound to the physical world by strong emotions like sorrow, anger, or regret. The forest, with its tragic history, is said to be teeming with these spectral figures. Visitors have reported seeing pale, translucent apparitions gliding silently through the trees or standing motionless in the shadows. These eerie are often described as having hollow eyes, their expression etched in despair. Some accounts claim these spirits actively draw people deeper into the forest as though seeking company in their eternal solitude. One account comes from a local guide who ventured into the forest to retrieve a lost hiker. He claimed to see a woman dressed in a flowing white kimono standing motionless between the trees. Thinking she was the missing person, he called out to her, but she didn't respond. Instead, she turned slowly and disappeared into the shadows. Later, when he found the hiker, they recounted seeing the same woman hours earlier, standing silently near a tree. The forest is also infamous for eerie sounds reported by visitors. Many describe hearing faint whispers or cries that seem to echo from every direction, even when no one is visible. These sounds become particularly unnerving at night when the stillness amplifies every rustle of leaves or snap of a twig. A group of filmmakers camping overnight for a documentary project reported hearing sobbing near their campsite. When they investigated, the sound seemed to move further away, always just out of reach. Returning to their tent, they found their belongings scattered and their camera turned on, recording nothing but static. Adding to these eerie tales are countless stories of sensations that defy explanation. Some visitors describe feeling a heavy, oppressive presence as though being watched by unseen eyes. A hiker once recounted the sensation of cold fingers brushing against their arm, despite being alone. Others speak of an overwhelming urge to turn back as they venture deeper into the forest. Even hardened skeptics have admitted to feeling uneasy with Aokigahara, describing the atmosphere as suffocating or almost alive. Then there are the inexplicable technological anomalies. Compasses often spin erratically, and GPS devices frequently lose their signal, leaving visitors disoriented. While science attributes this to the forest's iron-rich volcanic soil, the effect is unsettling for those who experience it. One urban explorer shared a story of wandering in circles for hours, the GPS reportedly directing them back to the same spot, as if the forest itself was guiding them, or trapping them. The forest also seems to resist being captured in images. Hikers frequently report strange anomalies in their photographs, blurs, streaks of light, or shadowy figures that weren't visible at the time. A particularly chilling story tells of a man who found a photo of himself taken in the forest with what appeared to be a hand resting on his shoulder, despite being completely alone during his visit. The idea that Aokigahara might harbor a supernatural energy is also rooted in the Japanese concept of chi. This spiritual energy, believed to flow through all living beings, is thought to be corrupted in the forest, feeding on despair and amplifying feelings of hopelessness. Some believe this tainted chi is what draws people to the forest and keeps them there, even against their will. Yet, for all his ghostly tales, one question lingers. Are these experiences genuinely paranormal, or are they a product of fear, suggestions, and the forest's unique environment? Let's find out, shall we?
Boo! Just popping in to make sure you're still with us. It's me, Ghastly Gary, your friendly neighborhood ghost. I've been haunting these podcast airwaves since I wandered into a mysterious audio vortex one eerie night. Now, I stick around to keep things spooky and fun. If you're enjoying the chilling tales so far, stick around until the end. I've got a few ghostly giggles and some important news to share. And remember, the real chills are always in the details. So keep those ears open and stay curious, my spectral friends. All right, I'll float back into the shadows for now. But don't forget, I'll be back at the end of the episode with a special message just for you. Now, on with the show.
So now we know the chilling tales of Aokigahara Forest, whispers, ghostly apparitions, and feelings of being watched have captured imagination for generations. But how much of what visitors experience can be explained by science and psychology? Let's break it down. One of the forest's defining characteristics is its profound silence. The dense canopy of trees and the volcanic rock beneath them absorb sound, creating an environment where even the rustling of leaves or chirping of birds seems muted. This unnatural quietness can disorient the mind, heightening sensitivity to faint noises that might otherwise go unnoticed. In such an environment, the brain becomes more susceptible to apophenia, the tendency to perceive patterns or meaningful connections in random stimuli. A distant bird call or the wind moving through the trees might then be interpreted as whispers or cries. The sightings of ghostly figures, often described as eerie, can also be explained through the lens of pareidolia. This phenomenon occurs when the brain interprets random visual stimuli, such as the interplay of light and shadow, as familiar shapes like faces or human forms. In Aokigahara, where the trees cast shifting patterns of light and shadow, this effect is amplified, especially for those primed to expect something supernatural. Adding to the forest's eerie reputation are its technological anomalies. Compasses spin erratically, and GPS devices often lose their signal. While this might seem paranormal, as we have referred to it before, science offers a straightforward explanation. The forest volcanic soil is rich in iron, which can interfere with magnetic fields. Though unsettling to those unfamiliar with this phenomenon, it's a natural consequence of Aokigahara's unique geology. The oppressive sensation of being watched or weighed down, frequently reported by visitors, can be attributed to psychological factors. Aokigahara's reputation as a place of despair creates a strong confirmation bias where individuals interpret ordinary sensations, such as the cold or the weight of solitude, as evidence of something sinister. Additionally, the forest's labyrinth-like structure and lack of clear landmarks can induce anxiety and stress, further heightening perceptions of danger or malevolence. A visitor's emotional state also plays a significant role. Aokigahara's tragic history, combined with its isolating environment, can evoke strong emotional responses such as grief, fear, or loneliness. These emotions can distort perception, making natural occurrences feel supernatural. Research in environmental psychology suggests that places associated with powerful emotional events, positive or negative, can evoke similar feelings in visitors even if they're unaware of the events themselves. Even the strange anomalies reported in photographs, blurs, streaks of light, or shadowy figures have plausible explanations. Low light conditions, motion blur, and lens flares are common in dense forest, particularly ones like Aokigahara, where sunlight struggles to penetrate the canopy. However, the forest mystique often leads visitors and viewers to interpret these photographic quirks as evidence of the supernatural. A lesser known factor is how isolation and fatigue affect cognition. Hikers venturing deep into the forest often describe a sense of time slowing or losing track of how far they have walked. This can be explained by the monotony of the terrain combined with physical exhaustion. In such a state, the brain may create illusions or distortions to fill the sensory void. Yet, for all its scientific explanations, Aokigahara continues to defy complete understanding. Some accounts resist logical interpretation. The woman in the white kimono who vanishes without a trace, or the eerie sobbing heard by campers deep in the night. Perhaps these stories are fabrications or misinterpretations, but they remind us of the human need to find meaning in the unexplained. So, what do you think? Is Aokigahara truly haunted? Or are its mysteries a reflection of our fears, biases, and the forest's unique environment? As with many places of legend, the answer likely lies somewhere in between, a delicate balance of science, history, and the enduring allure of the unknown. And so we leave the depths of Aokigahara Forest, a place where beauty and mystery coexist, and where every shadow seems to whisper a story of its own. from its volcanic origins and eerie stillness to its reputation for ghostly encounters. This forest invites us to reflect not only on its secrets, but also on the human emotions and the experiences that shape our perceptions of the unknown. But once again, what do you think? Are the whispers and ghostly apparitions evidence of a supernatural presence? Or are they the result of human imagination shaped by fear, cultural narratives, and the forest's unique environment? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Visit my website at shinstories.co.uk to share your theories and experiences. And if you want, you can even suggest topics for future episodes. You can also connect with me on Instagram and Twitter or X, however you call it now. My handle is at shinstories12, that's the number 12. So let's keep the conversation going. I'm always curious to hear your take on these fascinating mysteries. Finally, for those planning to visit Aokigahara, remember to tread carefully and respectfully. Stick to marked paths, travel with a companion, and be mindful of the forest's solemn history. Nearby attractions, such as the serene Lake Saiko or Mount Fuji's trails, offer a chance to balance Aokigahara's weight with moments of peace and beauty. And if you visit during spring or autumn, you'll find the forest at its most breathtaking. Now, before we finish, I believe Ghastly Gary has a very important message he wants to share with you. So please stay on the line for a couple more minutes, and thank you for joining me on this journey today.
Boo! Oh, don't be scared, it's just me, Ghastly Gary, popping in to say thanks for hanging out with us on today's episode of Paranormal Pursuits with Shinjan. Did you enjoy it? I sure did. Nothing like a good ghost story to make a ghost feel alive. You know what I mean. Now, before you go floating off into the night, I've got a few favors to ask. You see, I've got a haunted family to support. My little ghostlings are growing up so fast, and my dear wife, Phantom Phyllis, says I need to bring home more ectoplasm. So, here's the deal. First, if you liked the episode, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next spooky adventure, and it'll help keep my haunted house in top shape. Second, share this podcast with your friends, family, and even that one weird neighbor who talks to their plants. They might be into the paranormal too. The more listeners we have, the more haunted fun we can conjure up. And finally, if you're feeling extra generous, why not buy Shinjan a coffee? You see, keeping this podcast running is hard work, and every little bit helps. Plus, my ghost kids are always asking for the latest in invisible toys. You wouldn't want to disappoint them, would you? Oh, and don't forget, all the details for buying that coffee and following us on social media are in the episode description. It's easier than finding your way through a haunted house in the dark, I promise. Remember, stay curious, stay safe, and always keep questioning the unknown. You never know what mysteries you might uncover next. This is Ghastly Gary, signing off. Thanks for your support, and until next time, I'll be watching, in a totally non-creepy ghostly way, of course.